Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're going to talk about some exciting new appointment book tools that we have in our Fusion version of Shortcuts. We'll give everyone else just a couple more minutes to join us. We'll get started in just a moment. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started this morning. As I mentioned just a moment ago, our topic today is appointment book tools in the new Fusion version. So for some of you that joined us for our last webinar, you would have kind of gotten an overview of what you might get to expect with Fusion. But today we're going to talk specifically about the appointment book features. Okay. First, of course, just a little bit of housekeeping. Your speakers must be turned on to hear the webinar. So hopefully, if you're on, you've realized that we have started the webinar, and if you can't hear me, that you're going to turn on your speakers now. My microphone's on and everyone else is automatically muted as you join. So if you're having any technical difficulties, or of course if you have any questions, you can use the chat box. So again, here, if you have any questions or you want to have a comment to the section that we're talking about, you can use the chat box to send those questions through. And then you guys, after the webinar, you can always post questions to our Facebook fan page as well. So if you go to Facebook and go to our page, Shortcuts USA, you can always put questions up there as well. Looks like I have one already. All right. So you guys, what we're going to talk about today, here's just a list of the learning objectives. So if you want to take a second to jot those down so that maybe you can take notes next to the section as we go through. Remember that these webinars are always recorded after the fact as well, and they're up on our webinar library as well for you to watch them and view them over if you need to. Okay, so that's going to be the client dashboard, the arrival screen, service tracking, change service in the appointment book, appointment groups, appointment clash warning, and the finishing block. And we'll talk about what each one of those means. Okay, so the first thing on the list is the client dashboard. And you guys, basically the client dashboard provides you with an easy way to quickly see all of the relevant information about the client that you've currently selected. So you can see it'll show me future appointments, past appointments, outstanding series that they have, the average spend, any alerts that they have available. Okay, so this is my client file. Super fussy client, takes about 15 extra minutes for styling. Okay, so for those of you that are always curious about how can I make sure that for specific clients we book extra time or things like that, the client dashboard is a really great way to be able to add a note like that, and instead of having to actually go in and read it now, it shows up here right away for you to see. Okay, and I do just want to take you into my shortcuts here. Okay, so if I go to book an appointment, okay, and I select my client, that client dashboard shows up here right on the right-hand side. Okay, you can see that he doesn't currently have a preferred employee. Okay, so if we know that he prefers to see somebody specific each time, I can go into their client card and link that. I can see how many times they've come in, what the average spend amount is. Also, this client has a credit on their account. Okay, so I know some of you are probably jumping up and down about the client dashboard. If some of you are already using Fusion, you may see this client dashboard already. Okay, any questions about that section? All right. Then we're going to talk about the arrival screen. So you guys, the arrival screen is a new icon that's going to show up in your main menu. And the arrival screen provides you with a quick and easy way to view upcoming client appointments for your current day. It'll also show you overdue appointments, as well as letting you manage them with one click, meaning mark them arrived, check them out, things like that. Okay, and then again, I'm just going to take you in and show you that arrival screen. So if we go into shortcuts here. Okay, so like I said, it's over here on the right-hand side in the main menu, and if I click on arrivals, it'll actually show me, just like I said, the client name, what time they were meant to arrive. And you can see Paul's client here is actually in red, and that's because they're running a little late, right? This was my 9 o'clock appointment, and I haven't yet marked them arrived. So to me, this client is now late, and you can see they're due -7 minutes ago. Okay, so they're late. I can also see clients that are arriving in a group. So you can see here, these clients are part of my cool group. So you can actually now assign clients to an appointment group as well, and I could check them all in at once. So if I click here for arrive, it'll actually ask me, so this client is in a group, do you wish to arrive the group? So if you have a bridal party, a nail party, anything like that where you've booked multiple people coming as a party, I can actually create an appointment group for them now, and I can arrive them all at once through the arrival screen. Okay, any questions about that one, you guys? Nope, okay. Okay, and the next thing we want to talk about is the service tracking. Okay, so there's actually a new feature on the appointment book where we can actually track the status of the service. Okay, so you can see down here I have each of the colors that you might see if you have service tracking turned on. Okay, so I have the service waiting means that I've marked them arrived, but I haven't actually started the service. I have service started, meaning that the technician or stylist, whomever is actually doing that service, has actually come in and started that service. And then of course I have service finished. So once that client is actually completed, I can finish the service. So this is a really great feature for those of you that have spas within your salons as well. So if you have clients that are moving from getting a facial and a waxing service over to getting then a color and a blow dry service, then it's really important when those employees are checking the appointment book to be able to see, if their client is ready for them. This is a really great feature, right? So, or for those of you that are departmentalized where I see the colorist and then I see the stylist, if the receptionist is managing this feature by going in and actually finishing the color service, then the stylist knows that it's time to come and get them for the cut service or for the blow dry service. Okay, looks like I have a question here. Okay. One of the first questions is, when are we going to be able to do this update? The Fusion update is going to be available very soon here. All you'll need to do is actually contact your account representative at Shortcuts, and I'll give you the phone number at the end here. But yeah, go ahead and just reach out to your account manager and they can walk you through the steps on what we need to do to get you upgraded. The next question is, how do I activate service tracking? So how do I actually turn this on? That's a really great question, you guys, because it is a feature that you do have to turn on in Shortcuts. Okay, and keep in mind that it will require that you are using the Fusion version. Okay, but I'm going to actually go into Shortcuts here, and I'll show you that. So if I go into my Setup menu, of course, and then go into my Configuration, okay, over here on the left-hand side now, if I go into General, and then if I go into the Appointment Book Setup, you can see here it says Track Appointment Service Status. Okay, that is the checkbox that turns on the service tracking so that you can see when it's waiting, when it's in service, and then when it's finished. Okay, so for instance, if I have another service down here for a client that already has an appointment, okay, so if I right-click and actually mark that service as started, okay, and then mark that service as finished, you'll see that this one then clicks to service waiting because it's now time for that person to come and get that service. Okay, any questions about that feature there? So remember, to turn it on, I can go into my configuration, I can go into my general configuration menu and go into my appointment book setup to turn that on. You guys, the arrival screen is there based upon a security feature. So if you have security turned on for your staff, you need to make sure that they have the access to the arrival screen if you'd like them to be able to see it. If you're not using security, the arrival screen will be there by default. Okay, same thing with the client dashboard. It does require an actual setting to be turned on. So since we're talking about settings, I want to show you that as well. Hopefully I remember where it is. Okay, you can see right here, right below the display client details, I also have display client dashboard. Okay, so whether or not you want that to be on or off, I can check that on or off. Okay. All right. Okay, so the next thing that is on our list today is the change service feature, which I know a bunch of you are going to be really excited about. So it used to be that if you booked an appointment for a client, say you booked them in for an all-over color, and then during that call, before you finished that call with the client, you realized that it was actually a highlight service instead of an all-over color service. So it used to be that I actually had to go in and delete that service and rebook it for the partial weave instead of for the color. Okay, now I can actually right-click against that service, or if you're using the touchscreen, you can use your finger to pull up this menu, and you'll notice that there's a service, a change service option there now, which means that when I choose change service, it simply pops up the service selection screen and allows me to go in and choose a different service. I know some of you are probably throwing a little party there right now. Okay, and simple enough, but I still want to take you in and show you here. So we'll go into Shortcuts. Okay, and I had Bugs Bunny here that was for a blowout, and I realized that they need a haircut today. So if I right-click and I go Change Service, okay, I can go into my cuts and I can change that to a designer cut instead. Okay, you'll notice that this conflict window is popping up, which I'll show you exactly what that is in just a moment, but I'm just going to say continue. Basically, it's telling me I already have a booking at that time, but it's okay because I'm just replacing it with the same client for a different service. Okay, and then you'll notice it updates my appointment book and changes it to the correct service. Really exciting, right? Okay, any questions about that feature there? Okay. Okay, so we'd already talked a little bit about appointment groups, but basically the appointment book now allows you the ability to actually put clients into a group. So like I said, bridal or nail parties, you can easily identify them by the little symbol and color on the appointment now, as well as being able to arrive them all at once using the arrival screen. So for some of you, you have quite a bit of staff on your appointment book. Some of you, as many as 30 or 40 employees. And so instead of having to actually sort through the appointment book and figure out where each of those clients is sitting, again, I can arrive them all at once based upon the fact that they're in a group and using the arrival screen. Okay, so if I go into shortcuts, okay, you can see that I have actually put a couple of clients here into a group. Okay, so again, I can easily identify that they're actually part of a group. Okay, so how I do that, if I right-click and I go down here, add to new group, you can see that I can add a group, or excuse me, add a client to a group that already exists, or I can go in and I can add a group, a new group. I guess because it's Bugs Bunny. Okay, so you can see there it gives it a color, and then if I want to add another client to that group that I've created, I simply right-click and then down here at the bottom, add to group. Okay, and then again, if I go into my arrival screen here, you can see that I can easily identify them right there by that group. Okay, looks like I have a question. There's a question asking, can we also change the date of the service without deleting? Deborah, I am not sure what version of Shortcuts that you are using now, but we have been able to do that for quite some time now using the week view. And you guys, I know that that's not necessarily the topic of this webinar today, but I feel like, it is an appointment book trick, so we'll go ahead and talk about that as well. If I want to change the date of an appointment without actually deleting it, for instance, for Bugs Bunny here, I can actually go into the week view for Paul. So I just right-clicked against his name. And you can see that it pulls up the whole week for Paul here. And say, for instance, that Bugs even wants to come the following Monday, okay? So if I click in my weeks here and I go 2 weeks out, it's going to show me the following week as well. You know what? Paul's actually not scheduled to work on that day, so I'm going to offer Bugs the Tuesday. All I need to do, just like I could pick up an appointment and drag it to another person's column or to another time. In the week view, I can drag it to another day. Okay, and then that's all there is. I've rescheduled Bugs' appointment. Okay, there it is. And if I go back to today, you'll notice that that appointment is not there. All right. Deborah, there's a couple of other tricks with that as well. If you want to give us a call or send us an email after this webinar, we can show you a couple of other things also. All right, so we already saw the appointment clash warning a little bit today. However, I just want to show you basically what it's designed to do is basically now it's going to highlight for you if you're booking a service with somebody that shouldn't that can't or shouldn't be taking that, meaning that they're not scheduled on or they have another appointment at that time, things like that. Okay, so I'll actually go in and show you that as well. Okay, so Debbie here isn't actually scheduled to work today, so if I go to book an appointment for her, so you guys know that the Shortcuts appointment book is very flexible, right? Because we all know that even if somebody's off, if a client calls in and says, hey, I want to give you a bunch of my money, we're probably going to come in and take that. Okay, so I'm just going to book an appointment here. Okay, you'll notice that the second that I actually choose the service, that down at the bottom, the service selection, it shows up in orange. So right there, you know, in Shortcuts, there's a lot of visual indicators, right? So right there, it's telling me that there's a conflict. Also right here where it says available, you can see that there's a red X actually saying that Debbie isn't actually available. However, I can continue to make this appointment. And when I choose done, it's actually telling us the 9:30 appointment is a conflict. Debbie is not scheduled to work. Would you like to reschedule or continue? So if I did want to book them on another day, I can choose the reschedule option and it'll take me to choose another time, or I can simply choose continue to complete the appointment. Okay, but basically what that feature is doing is it's now warning us when we have a conflict or when we're trying to book an appointment maybe with somebody that isn't working. Okay, looks like I have a question here. In response to Ellen, Ellen, I'm not sure what version of Shortcuts that you're running. However, I don't believe that that is a current issue. But again, if you just follow up with us after the webinar, we can take a look at that for you. There's actually another question about week view, which again, it's not necessarily something that we were going to talk about today, but it is an appointment book trick. So someone's asking, can you change an appointment from one stylist to another using week view? And the answer is yes. Okay, so if I go into the week view for maybe Angel here, so if I right click and go view week, okay, I can pull up another employee as well. So down here at the bottom, I have the employee button. So if I choose Angel and Paul to be in my week view. Okay, so I could very easily pick up an appointment from one day and move it to another day with a different person. Okay. Okay, so you guys, other questions about anything else that we've talked about so far, or even if it's about week view, we can talk about that as well. All right, let me see here. All right, so one of the last things I want to talk to you about today, you guys, is finishing blocks. So I'm just going to go in. Okay, so we're going to go here. And you can see here that here's a screenshot of the service setup screen. You guys, the finishing blocks basically are designed, so you can see here I have the all over color, and if it is the case that generally my all over colors always include a blow dry, then I can create that second block with a blowout or a blow dry, and I can specify that it's a finishing service, okay? And then what that means is that if at any time I book the all over color and then a haircut, because that second block, the blowout, is set as a finishing block, what will happen if I book the haircut after is it will actually omit that block, that blowout block or that blow dry block. Okay, knowing that the finishing block is a finishing service, so if I'm booking another service after it, I can go ahead and remove that. Okay, so again, I just want to take you into shortcuts and actually show you that. Okay, so first I'm just going to book a regular blowout, or excuse me, a regular all-over color that will have the finishing block with it. Okay, so I'm going to go to my color section and I'm going to choose my all-over color. Okay, so you can see that it shows up with the all-over color. It shows up with the break in between for the processing time, and then the blowout shows up right below. Okay, but if I go to book that service, like I said, and I book a haircut after the all-over color, then it's going to get rid of that blowout block for me. And I just want to show you that. Okay, so all-over color, and then I'm going to book a cut after. Okay, so you can see that it's actually gone ahead and just, like I said, omitted the blow dry block so that we can do the haircut, and then we'll finish the service within the haircut service. Any questions about that one, you guys? All right. You guys, this one to me is really exciting because I always make my clients kind of decide, do you want finishing blocks, or are you going to book them a la carte because of the, you know, the option of sometimes they get a blow dry, but sometimes they get a haircut as well. This completely makes that so much easier because now if my color services always include a blow dry, then I can add them here with the finishing block. And then if we book a haircut after, then that block just goes away. Okay, and you guys, just a couple of hot tips about Fusion as well is there is a setting now that the appointment book can actually default back to today's date after each login. So sometimes shortcuts will log you out if it times out, right? And it'll just reopen back to wherever you were before it logged you out. Now you can actually set it to where it will actually log you back to today's appointment book. Okay, and for all of you that have our Smart package and are using Anywhere, Fusion actually will now allow Anywhere users, if you give them access, to book appointments through Anywhere as well. Okay, so I know a bunch of you have been really excited and waiting for that. So like I said, if you are using Fusion and you have our Smart package and your staff is using Anywhere, you can actually give them the access to book appointments through there. Okay, so just a review about what we talked about today as well as the week view. We talked about the new client dashboard in Fusion, the arrival screen, and like I said, you guys, most of these things do include some sort of setting, whether it be a checkbox in your configuration or a security setting. But the client dashboard, the arrival screen, service tracking, change service on the appointment book, the appointment groups, our new appointment clash warning, and the finishing blocks. Okay, and you guys, just a little bit of information on our next webinar. It's actually going to be, well, let's see, that's actually 4 weeks from today on Monday the 23rd of March at 9 a.m. Pacific time. So for you guys that are on the East Coast, it's noon for you, Central Time, 11 for you, and Mountain Time, 10 o'clock for you. And that's also going to be focusing on Fusion, but going to be focusing on the point of sale features in Fusion. Okay, and of course, as always, you can register for our future webinars, shortcuts.net/webinars. And like I mentioned this morning, well, when we started, our webinars are always recorded and they'll be up on the webinar library as well. So I know some of you haven't upgraded to Fusion yet. So once you do upgrade to Fusion, you can go ahead and grab this webinar and replay it so you can make sure that if you want to use these features, you can get them turned on and get familiar with them. Okay, so you guys, we always have a Q&A session at the end of our webinars, so I'm going to open it up for Q&A. this webinar wasn't too long today, so we can do 10-15 minutes if you guys want, whatever questions you have. Okay, and then I'll just go ahead and leave this up as you guys, if you guys want to ask questions, but here's the information to contact us. So if you have education questions about, like I said, the week view or any of the features that we talked about today, you can always email them through to the education team. So it's just education@shortcuts.net. I mentioned our Facebook page as well, so you can always post questions to our Facebook page. And then you guys, when you're talking about, you know, how do I upgrade to Fusion and when is it available, like I said, go ahead and just call the office at either of those numbers listed there, and you'll be able to get in contact with your account representative, and they'll be able to you know, check your computers, make sure that they're okay for Fusion and those kinds of things. Looks like I have a question. It's actually asking a question about, do we always have to mark each new appointment with new client or employee referred? I think you're talking about the automatic appointment tag, and the answer is yes if you have that feature turned on. The automatic appointment tag can actually be turned off if this is not something that you want to use. Okay, so if I go into my setup, configuration, general setup, and then the appointment book setup, the second option from the top is automatic appointment tag. So if you turn that off, it won't ask you every time. You'd still have the option to right-click against the appointment and place a tag against it, but if you don't have this on, it's not going to prompt you each time. Okay, we'll put this back up here. Other questions, you guys? Okay, it looks like maybe we may have answered everyone's questions here. We'll stay on for a couple more minutes if anyone else has any questions. And again, remember, here's all the contact information if you have follow-up questions after today's webinar. Okay, there's a question here. It says maybe off topic, but can you show a standing appointment on a weekly basis? Absolutely. Hey, we're talking about appointment book tricks, right? So reoccurring appointments and shortcuts is definitely one of those tricks. Okay, so if I go into shortcuts, let's say that I'm going to delete this appointment here. I'm going to change this service to a blow dry. Okay, so let's say that this client comes in every Monday at 11:15 a.m. with Angel to get a blow dry. Okay, so if I right-click against this appointment and go to recur, you'll notice at the top it says select a date to book the next appointment. Okay, so if today is February 23rd, the next appointment would be on Monday, March 2nd. Okay, now it says select the date the reoccurrence is finished, reoccurring every 7 days because I've said she comes in every week. So I'm going to reoccur this out until July. Okay, and in July, I'm just going to click a Monday as an end date. Okay, what happens is it then pops up and it shows me each appointment that I have booked. Monday the 2nd, Monday the 9th, the 16th, the 23rd, and so on. If any of those appointments happen to have a conflict, you guys, it would actually pop up a window as well and show you which days had a conflict, meaning that if there was already an appointment booked in that time, it's giving you the opportunity to reschedule it. Okay, there's actually another question about my configuration or setup here. They're actually asking why is each hour highlighted? And whoops. And you guys, the reason is that I actually have asked my system to have an interval of 60 minutes for this employee, and I've actually asked the system to highlight for me as well. So if I go into my employee setup and I go into Angel here, you'll notice here that the interval says 60. Okay, meaning that this employee would actually like to be booked on the hour. Okay, and then if I go into my configuration and I go into, again, General and Appointment Book, right here, optimal booking markers. So I have optimal booking markers on, meaning that because I want it every 60 minutes, Shortcuts is actually showing it that way, highlighting to the receptionist or whomever is booking the appointment that I should actually be booking on those time slots. Okay. Other questions, you guys? Okay, looks like that's we've answered everyone's questions now. You guys, thank you so much for joining our webinar today. It's really great that we're getting such a great turnout. And it shows us that everyone's super excited about the new features that we are excited to show you about. So like I said, 4 weeks from today, on Monday, March 23rd at 9 a.m. Pacific time again, we have the point of sale enhancements of Fusion, kind of highlighting all of those pieces there. Okay, and just to remind you guys again, oops, here's all the information to contact us. And just going to go back one. And here, if you guys want to register for future webinars, you can always just go to shortcuts.net/webinars. And then for the webinar library, you guys, if you go to that same link and then /webinar-library. So this one will be recorded and up on the website, hopefully by the end of this week. All right, you guys, thank you so much for your time today. Please join us for our next one. And like I said, if you have any follow-up questions, you can contact the education team or just call the office and see who it might be that you need to talk to. All right, you guys, have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your week.